technology. My name is Allyson Glover from the Unlocking Potential programme, and we have here today 3 guests. Delighted to welcome Lyssa-Fee Crump, who has a brilliant job title, Catalyst of Disruptive Innovation with Headforwards. We have Mercer, the MD and CEO of Pixxcell, and also delighted to welcome Kristiina Gwynne, who is a business advisor with Superfast Business, Cornwall. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming along. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
So I'm Lyssa, I'm from Headforwards, and we're an outsourced software development company, and my role is head of marketing, and I'm involved with business development, recruitment and team happiness.
Great.
Well, I'm Mercer, and I've got a tech startup called Pixxcell, and what we do is enable anyone to create photograph story maps. So if you've been on a trip or been anywhere in the world where you've sort of moved geographically, you can create a story using your photographs, and people can fly from location to location and experience the trip that you did. So that's my business.
Fantastic.
And I'm Kristiina, so I'm a business advisor on the Superfast Business Cornwall programme. So we help businesses to utilise technology to help their business grow, and I work one-to-one with the businesses to help them put together a digital action plan and then hopefully take some action and help their business grow.
One of the reasons we wanted to do this today is Breakthrough Cornwall is Cornwall's programmes to support startup businesses, and one of the areas that we're really keen to develop and support is brand new startups in tech here in Cornwall. You know, there's some brilliant examples around the county, but really it's to try and inspire and encourage, you know, more young people, more women, anybody actually into tech businesses, because, you know, it's going to be a really important sector for the future. So Mel, how do you think the tech industry has changed in the last 5 years, and what do you think is on the horizon for us?
Well, you know, I read this question and I thought to myself, how on earth, like, it's such an enormous question, how can you answer it in sort of 10 minutes or however long we've got today? It's changed so much, and I think it's changing so fast as well, almost beyond what our brains can keep up with a lot of the time. And I think you've got sort of 2 big strands to technology. You've got the personal side of tech, which is your phone and your apps, which is very much changed now to give us everything on demand. Everything's personally about me. What makes me happier? What makes me able to get a taxi on time? What enables me to get my laundry done on time? What video do I want to watch when I want to watch it? It's very much focused on me as a person and my individual needs. And then you've got the other side of technology, which is much wider, much broader sort of issues, which is basically, you know, using technology to solve the big problems in the world. You know, how are we going to get from A to B? How are we going to feed ourselves? How are we going to power ourselves? How are we going to keep ourselves healthy? And this is where some serious, amazing technology is coming in. You know, you've got people like, you know, Monsanto that they've got their constant hunger to slice and dice and own the world's food population, but then you've also got people making synthetic eggs because eggs are in demand by so many billions of people, and yet there's not enough chickens to kind of keep the supply going. You've got people creating fish farms in sort of big tanks, basically, in the middle of Africa, nowhere near a sea, because they've got to keep people fed. So there's technology going on all over the place, and I think the point, it's changing so fast, I think it's hard for people to keep up with. And one of the big questions, I think, for me when it comes to personal tech is it's so focused around an individual. I think one of the big questions about that is it fulfills an individual's needs, but actually how does being so focused on an individual fulfill society's needs? And I think that's a really interesting topic actually in today's technology.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lyssa, you're working for one of the kind of the fastest growing tech companies in Cornwall. What's your take on the industry and how it's changing?
Yeah, Mel put it so eloquently there. It's hard to know what to say after that, but it has changed so rapidly, and trying to keep up with what it's done is hard, but it's really changed from being this unattainable thing that not everyone had access to us walking around with something in our pocket that's bigger than what they used to put people on the moon. Like, it's really interesting, and I'm really looking at how it's going to change, and with 5G coming and the Internet of Things movement, and just measuring and data and what we can learn from it and how we can improve as a society and make the planet better and things. It's not just about geeks playing games in their room anymore. It's really changing everyone's lives.
And automation and artificial intelligence and how that's going to change the way that we work in the future and live. It's there's a lot to wrap your head around, isn't there? And therefore there's a lot of jobs and professions and so on that just don't exist, and we haven't really got a grip on what they might be yet.
Yes, there are new jobs happening all the time, and accessibility, like you said, is, you know, anyone can hire a satellite now, create an outbound satellite, and you can hire a satellite. There's places where you can do it. You've got a farmer in Africa now can monitor how much photosynthesis his crops have done in the last half an hour because of satellites, and it's creating jobs all over the place. And jobs with amazing titles like this, you know, we've never heard of before. But it's happening all over the world.
Is that what you dreamt you wanted to be when you grew up? A disruptive innovator.
Disruptive used to be a bad word.
It is. No, it's definitely a massive. I think it's the word of our generation, isn't it? Disruptive.
Or rebel.
Rebel.
Yes.
Rebel.
And I think part of it is also because people are much more confident about using technology now as well. So, and especially, you know, from my kind of industry, working with businesses aren't afraid to use technology now, so they're more confident with it, and they know that they need to embrace it to help their businesses grow. And so that then obviously has an effect then on the tech industry, because the tech industry can then fulfil that demand. And I think there's also a rise in, you know, flexible working and things like that as well, and a lot of businesses, they, like you were saying about how it's changing social things, there's a lot of business owners now who want the work-life balance. They don't just want to be kind of working, slaving 60-70 hours a week and then, you know, earning millions. They're actually striving for that work-life balance, and it's the technology which is enabling them to do that and to explore these markets outside of their local markets. Cornwall, you know, is quite far, you know, quite remote, but it's the technology that allows them to actually get markets into the UK, abroad, and so it's, you know, it's really helping on that side of things.
And
as
especially
well.
with women, like that really, that can really suit.
Absolutely.
Talking about women in tech, that sort of, you know, work-life balance can really.
I think generally everyone's looking for flexibility, but you know, if you as a female, I think, you know, having and being able to guarantee that flexibility is essential. You know, particularly if you're managing a family or. And I appreciate, you know, men are much more participative in the whole family environment these days. But also the way that work is changing, and you know, many people now, lots of women we know have, you know, more than one job. You know, as well as you know the kind of they might be the carer of the family and looking, but also they might have 2 or 3 part-time jobs, and I think tech enables that brilliantly. So what makes Cornwall a good location for tech businesses, and you know, what are some of the obstacles in Cornwall? Lyssa?
Well, Cornwall's historically been home to engineers. We have that in our blood, and now it's technology that, you know, we're engineering, we're software engineers. And I think what sets Cornwall apart, I mean, other than Superfast broadband, which has done a lot for the tech industry, is the community. We have such a strong community between all the tech companies. It's a thriving hub where it's all about collaboration over competition and helping each other trying to succeed, and, you know, knowledge sharing and resource sharing. And I don't think that it's like that in other parts of the country. To the same extent. I know from my experience working in London, it was a very different atmosphere. So I think that's something that's really helping Cornwall. But we do have a slight negative view on Cornwall. Sometimes if, you know, you're speaking to clients and you say that you're based down here, people are like, oh, Cornwall, what's happening down there? And actually Cornwall's the second fastest growing tech cluster in the UK. Like, this is a good place to be in the tech community. So it's about changing that preconception, and I think we're doing good work along the way to make that happen.
It's funny, I was at a meeting the other day, a Gain 20 meeting actually, which is another method, a support base in Cornwall. And one of the things that came up was that a lot of our sort of other companies that we work with, their clients they don't expect, it's very hard to sort of pull sometimes clients down because they expect anyone in Cornwall's got a lifestyle business, and that it's nothing more than that, it's just a lifestyle business. And they've said it's been quite tricky changing people's perceptions of what Cornwall working life can be about. Yes, you can achieve the work-life balance, but it's a really good work life, and it's productive work life. And so I think that's a problem that everyone down here encounters, but you just got to sort of one good job later and their perceptions changed. It's quite quick to happen, but it's that initial conversation that can be changed.
But I think also the more that, you know, tech businesses kind of demonstrate what they're doing and things like that, those opinions, they will change over time. But also I think there's a lot of work being done to also highlight actually that Cornwall isn't just you know, it's not just where you go on your holidays anymore, and it's one of the best connected rural areas in the UK, and I think there's a lot of promotion around actually, you know, Cornwall has got a lot more to offer. It's got all the beaches and it's got all the work-life balance and it's got all that side, but actually we've got, you know, like you were saying, a fantastic hub of tech businesses here, all the fantastic support that goes along with it. So for tech businesses who are thinking, right, maybe they want to get out of London, you know, you know, that kind of side of things, actually Cornwall is potentially an option for them now. And I think, you know, with Software Cornwall and things like that, they do great, you know, great support kind of promoting it.
It's a great environment, isn't it, for startup businesses? Because I know, you know, when you know, particularly I think I think, you know, people get very excited about tech startups. And I think, you know, I know the community that exists and how people really cluster together. And I mean, what sort of your experience of being kind of helped by the community in your journey?
Well, God, it's just everyone sort of, like you say, it's collaboration over competition, and you immediately have a nice sort of circle of protection around you that can help. And it's not you know, specific people doing specific things. It's just that you've got people you can speak to and people you can call for advice and things like that. And I think, you know, it's not just sort of, we don't just have web developers down here, people that build websites. You know, we've got Headforwards that's doing stuff for clients all over the world. You've got Paul at Bluefruit, who's, you know, responsible for technology, the smart tech and washing machines and all that sort of stuff. So it's not just sort of people think, oh, tech, oh, it's web development. It's not. It's so much more than that, and it's used. So you've got a quite wide variety of skills and people you can draw on down here. It's, you know, so. But as far as downsides, I think, you know, finding talent down here, there's still a big lack in the pool, the talent pool down here. There is some, you know, geographically there is still some tricky things, but all overcomeable.
I mean, the talent pool nationally is a massive challenge, isn't
and
it?
in America and Europe,
globally,
it's
a global issue.
It is. And how are you overcoming some of that?
So, a lot of different ways. We're just about to hit 90 people and we're less than 6 years old, so trying to find the talent is a big part of my job and my role. And it's about a 50-50 split for hiring people from Cornwall to outside of Cornwall. So we're thinking long term. We're working with the education sector, particularly in my role at Software Cornwall, trying to encourage the next generation of coders and help them realise that there's rewarding, exciting, enjoyable careers available on their doorstep that pays really well. So a lot of that is about trying to inspire and educate, and also, you know, people retraining. You know, you don't have to have done a computer science degree at 18. You know, a lot of people have had careers in something else and then learnt to code in their bedrooms and then gone on to work with us. So it's about finding people with the passion, not necessarily the qualifications.
It's really interesting talking about qualifications. If you look at the amount of women going to university, you know, they're far outweighing men. But when you look at the courses that they're studying, you know, IT, computer science, that you're looking at 17-18% compared, you know, with they're still massively male dominated. So it kind of and again, a lot of stats around the big tech companies, you know, particularly in the UK, we're probably tracking at 15 to 20% of women in technology. So that kind of plays through, doesn't it, in terms of, you know, hopefully more women going to university, more doing that it might start to play through. But I mean, we're lucky. No, it's now very cool to be geek, isn't it? What do you think? What does geek culture look like for women? Do you think?
Gosh, this is an interesting one because I'm not a geek, but I am a geek. I'm not someone that's done IT at university. I did a media degree, but I don't know whether I do it again. I don't know. But I'm not a tech person, but I have started a tech company, so I am therefore a woman in tech. So it's quite tricky. So.
Yeah. And yeah, my background's actually, I studied performing arts, and it goes back to the encouragement of girls, because so do you remember that one session you had with a careers advisor, and I said I wanted to do web development, and they said, no love, go be a dancer, so that's what I did. But I've always been a massive nerd. Like, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I love sci-fi, and I thought it's actually really great to be part of a community where I can go play laser tag at lunchtime with my friends that I work with, but I don't know how to code, and I'd love to know how to code, but yeah,
but you don't have to code to be a woman in tech.
No.
I think that's the thing. You can. There's lots of other jobs around tech as well. And I think it is still male dominated because it has been a traditionally male world, and it's going to take time for women to break through. But I think the sort of it's probably moving at that pace, and it's probably starting to move at that pace actually. So change will happen probably a lot quicker than
and I think there's a lot more mentoring, things like that nowadays, which is actually really kind of helping people move up and things like that. I think it was interesting when we were having a chat before, and you were saying about your daughters still not thinking it's cool to go into tech, and so I think it kind of needs to be probably quite a bit of work done to actually rebrand the tech industry, so that actually kids when they're at school they look at it and it's obviously there is all the geeky side, but actually there's a lot of other stuff as well, and perhaps that's not being communicated properly.
It's showing the breadth, isn't it? I think looking at the sort of the top 50 women who are working in tech companies in the UK, what was startling is probably a good 80-90% of them are working in sort of marketing and business development type roles, probably roles similar to yours, Lyssa. And I think it's making sure that young people are aware that those roles are really broad ranging.
And it's getting people excited about it as well. Like, it's innovation. One of the best things I've ever seen that was invented by a woman in the States was a football for kids in Africa that when they kick around generates energy, so then they plug their lights into it at night, and then everyone in their household's got lights. That is how good it can get. And so it's not just about apps and tapping away on your phone and something on your laptop. It's it's everything and anything. And actually, emerging countries, the world's your oyster. It's a blank canvas still. There's so much that needs to be done. There's so much that can be done.
I think the reassuring things that my teenage girl said is that technology is a human thing. It's not a gender thing. It's not about men and women. It's if you're really into sort of technology deeply, it's because you are. It's not because you're a male or a female. So I think we've just got to give those brilliant role models, which we have here, and make sure that everybody's seeing the brilliant work that you're doing. So if you've got an idea for a tech startup business in Cornwall, what support is available?
We run then Superfast Business Cornwall, so that programme it helps businesses embrace technology. We also do work with a lot of tech businesses as well, because although they're really good at the kind of the front end stuff, they still might need help with making sure their back office systems are all up to date. We can help them to put a really robust ICT strategy together, which helps with all their business planning. We also work with a range of ICT specialists as well. So where a business has very specific needs, and it was interesting. We had a client recently. He's got a tech business. He's been working in it himself for quite a while. He's now getting somebody else on board, and he wanted to understand how Agile could actually help him, improve the way that he was working. So we actually got our Agile specialist in to sit with him for 8 hours, or a couple of sessions, and really help him do that, so that he could then actually enable him to grow his business. So yes, we get ICT specialists as well, and also there is some grant funding available for specific projects as well. The projects have to be eligible, so all the information is obviously on our website. But yeah, so there is support out there for startups. We also run, because we've obviously identified that there's less women starting businesses than men. So we have a particular programme which is aimed at women-led enterprises. We've got a session 21st of March at the Sands Resort Hotel in Newquay, which is all about cloud tools productivity. Shameless promotion there. It's all free. It's all free. But that's going to be, really interesting because, like we were saying earlier with the women with the flexible working and things like that, these productivity tools, the lady's going to be talking about them. She's looking at free tools as well, so it's things that people can use in their day-to-day life in business, but also personally to actually be more productive. So that's one of the programmes, but also there's tons of other programmes out there as well. So there's a lot of support in Cornwall for startups generally.
Fantastic. And the sort of support that Headforwards have had.
So we're based at the Innovation Centre, and if we weren't there, I think we would have struggled to grow as rapidly as we have. It's really been a space that's enabled us to expand and grow and all be together. And so that's made a big difference. We were also had a bit of involvement with Oxford Innovation, and we're involved with them again. So
That's great. And I mean, Mel, you've started a tech company here in Cornwall. Tell us about the support that you've had along the way.
Well, you were the first. So a long time ago with Unlocking Potential, you guys very kindly supported me, and there has been support down here for 10 years now.
Probably 7 or 8 years specifically for startup businesses.
But no, that's been absolutely brilliant. And Chris, I'm a business mentors, and just having people to call when you're stressed is a really good thing. Don't ever underestimate the value of having someone on the end of the phone who can just support you, even if it's just wanting to rant at them or complain or do something. That is such a valuable thing to have. And then there's Oxford Innovation as well, who I know you work hand in hand with, and I'm on their high growth programme at the moment. And my mentor time, you get supplied a mentor, a business mentor for you, and you spend a few hours with them every month or something. And it's just such productive time because you get to step back from your daily grind of doing the accounts and making phone calls and all that. And you just get to sit back and sort of look objectively at your business and have someone that's fairly unrelated come in and sort of give you advice and look at it from a much wider perspective. So that's sort of 2 examples that I've had that have been fantastic for me. And I think there's another incubator thing, just open a creative thing that for creative industry that's just started at the Crowd. I can't remember the name. Cultivator. And obviously I'm in the Innovation Centre at Tremo as well, which is a good community. And being in the middle of the university, it's also great. You've got your target market if you want to do something mass commercialisation. So yeah, I mean there's so many sort of bits and bobs of support and different support, and I mean it's endless.
And I think that's what's quite nice. It's all quite complementary as well. So each programme's kind of looking at something specific, and we work quite closely with all. So we get a client on, and actually, they might need Oxford Innovation, or so there's a lot of kind of cross working as well, which I think is really good in Cornwall.
And I think the access to finance programmes that are coming through as well, I think are going to be
and they are really well
stimulating.
needed, because I think that's where we've sort of lacked to this point. So and I know the feedback has made sure that those programmes have come to the forefront, and that will make such a big difference. Just sort of having access to finance and all the different types of finance, and making people sort of aware of all the different ways you can get funded.
Well, it's been fantastic talking to you guys today. We're really keen here at Breakthrough for Startups to encourage more women into tech businesses, more women generally into startup, as well as anybody out there. I think the interesting thing is that it's not just about women in tech. I think there's behind every male-led tech company there's a lot of women supporting, and I think I would encourage women to kind of really take a lead from the people around the room and know that Cornwall is a brilliant place to start your business. There's a great community, there's great support available, and we're really excited that there's some great growing tech businesses here in the county, not just run by women, run by young people, who are really pushing the boundaries. So brilliant, it's great. Thank you for joining us, whether you're live or you catch up with us later. Please, any questions for any of the panel, hashtag Ask Breakthrough. We'd love to pick them up and answer them.